This is the next part in my 3D game design series and showing how I made the whole game. In this one, I want to kind of cover, hopefully, the rest of the entire thing, but that in itself is quite a lot of different components. So we'll start with damaging the enemy AI. Right, so just to give you another taste of what it is. So there are two ways to damage the AI. There is the parrying, or there is just straight up attacking. So here is damaging hit. You can see in the top left corner it prints hit if I hit him, and then dead once he's dead. And that was a parry just then right into his face. So he died immediately. Alright, so I'm dead now. So how does that work? Well, firstly, when the character decides to hit, firstly the weapon sword has got its own collision box. That's important to note. That's how big it is. Secondly, the player can do a slash attack animation. Now we talked about slash attack last time. So when the left mouse button is clicked, it does this, set slash sword, and the player will do slash sword, which is basically just attack. But we don't want it to always be happening, or the AI to always just get hurt if he's colliding with the sword, so we have to have that. That's the main reason why we use the slash sword boolean. So if we go to the part where player can damage AI, we have an event which is basically if on the event that we collide with the capsule component of the weapon sword, so we're casting to the weapon sword, and also casting to third person character to get slash sword, we have to make sure if slash sword equals true and another boolean can be hit is true, and if both those are true, we can print hit, and we can set the enemy health to minus 0.5. Enemy health starts at 1, so this is basically 2-shot kill, and if that is lesser than or greater to 0, or also we just come down here, spawn that little emitter of that little blue explosion, and then if that is less than or equal to 0, we can branch, and well, firstly, if that's false, we set can be hit, not true, leave a little second, and then can be hit true. That's just so it can't be spammed and he can die immediately. But if his health is less than or equal to 0, we print dead, spawn the explosion emitter, spawn that other emitter which is like a big swirl, and then we destroy the actor. Now you can pause the video and look back at that and kind of see how it works up close, because you can kind of, now that you understand, you can kind of read that. So hit, spawn the emitter, hit again, spawn both the emitters. Very simple bit of code, very effective though. Right, so that's basically what the enemy, that's how the melee combat works with the character and the enemy. We'll go into parrying a bit later, but before then it's good to note the animations that were put onto my character, or the AI, sorry. So here's the animation blueprint, and if you look back on the previous videos, it's very, very similar to the normal one, the character. So we're doing the event update animation, and it gets a bit messy here, but this is mainly just getting parameters from other functions. So we have a little sequence so that we can get them all one after the other all the time, getting all these values. And the first one we're getting over here, this is the event graph, by the way, of the animation blueprint. Should have stated that earlier. So the first one we're getting is, well, we're setting the speed and direction so he can do the walking animation. The second thing we're getting is attacking, AI attacking state. So is he swinging his arm for that fireball? That'll make sense more in a bit. And the third thing that we're getting is if the player death is true, and that's basically just for the dance at the end. So here are the states. Idle state, well, you can see up here, just his kind of flinging his hand around like he's about to throw some magic fire or whatever. To get to walking / running, it's speed greater than 10, back less than 10. It's the same thing as the player character, literally the same thing. Walk / running, here we go once again, we plug it into the animation blend space, Here's the blend space. Works exactly the same. The running animation is a bit funky because I originally didn't download it with the running in place, I don't think. So let me just check that. I think I've had to enable root motion, which keeps him in place, but it looks a bit dodgy. Oh, I'm not in the right place to check that. But it doesn't matter for now, it's just a testing character, and if given more time on the project, I would obviously swap out this character with my own character that I would have made. So yeah, that's his blend space. Other states that he's got the shoot state. So shoot, AI attack has to be true. To go back to idle, AI attack has to be false. To go from walking, AI attack has to be true, and back to idle has to be false. And shooting is literally just that standing throw magic attack. And that's just, it's very similar to slash sword with the character, so nothing new there. Same stuff. We have a victory though, which is the chicken dance. That's basically just me trying to test a bit of a global interrupt on all of these, on all the AIs. And I did a few things trying to test it, but really I don't need the speeders to be less than. I just need player death to be true. And if you refer to the test table, you'll see why I had to try different things for this, because I was basically declaring player death in different areas, and therefore it was getting set and then turned off again. This will make a lot more sense if you read the later half of the test table. But yeah, it was a bit of a pain because I was really struggling just to get the player death to be set, and it wouldn't register through here. Yeah, that's how it is. Anyway, chicken dance, if the player's dead, and it's the same for all of these. I don't actually need a path going back, but that's mainly just for testing. Yeah, that's the AI's animations. Right, so let's just quickly cover how the AI can attack the player. That's pretty fundamental. So we go back into simple AI, and I'll just quickly run through some other things I've done. I've got some older code here which basically allows the AI to follow the player if spotted, and also a code that makes him roam around. You can I've got some screenshots of these in the test table, but you can pause them if you want to take them. There we are. Oh, and a bit at the end. But I wanted to go a bit further and implement a behavior tree in the blackboard, etc. And it didn't really function well with my attacking, although I could just do it like this for this project. But if I wanted to take this project a bit further, I definitely have to do everything with the behavior tree. Anyway, so let's talk about throwing the fireball. This is where it gets a bit more interesting. Right, so... Oh, sorry, this is parrying. Where is it? Here it is. We'll get to parrying in a little bit. That's a bit more complex. So, when the event shoot enemy occurs, now we'll get to that in a bit, that'll make a bit more sense. We set attack to true, and set attack is false by default. Then we have a delay of this amount of time, and then we spawn the projectile, which is the flame, at ourselves, and then we delay for a certain amount of time. I believe these delays are just to kind of coincide with the animation length, although it does glitch sometimes and just spawn the projectile, but you know, that's a case of just a bit more bug testing. So yeah, that's how it works. Very simple bit of code here. The AI projectile, here it is. Right, there's a lot behind here, but this is mainly because of parrying. So let's quickly give you a rundown of the viewport. Here it is. It's using one of the Infinity Blade particle effects, and it's got a massive circular, spherical, what's it called, collision box, or collision sphere. So I'll quickly just show you how the projectile works. So on the begin overlap, we have a sequence, and so the first thing here is basically for parrying, and that goes all the way up there for parrying, but this down here is more to do with if it collides with the player. So basically, depending on what we want it to collide with, we just cast 2. So in this case, we're going to cast 2 the third person character. We're going to get health, and if it collides, we'll subtract 0.25 health, print string, simple stuff, and then spawn the emitter. And if the health is below a certain point, we do dead, player can't be hit, set dead, done and dusted. So basically this is what the AI spawns, and it will travel. I mean, it's got projectile movement. It's quite hard to explain this anymore because it's just how it is, isn't it? So if the player decides to attack the projectile, firstly we have to cast to the sword, and also cast third person character. We need to get /sword, and if /sword is true, meaning that we are hitting and we've already collided, then we can say we parried, and we destroy the actor. We spawn a explosion emitter at our location, and so yeah, we spawn 2 emitters actually. You might not notice it, but there's a little kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a actual parrying bit of metal emitter. Go back and watch it. You'll see what I mean when you parry the projectile. And we've set parry projectile to true. God, I can't speak. And then we spawn the new projectile, which I called AI send back projectile. And where do we spawn that? Well, this is where I had a lot of trouble, but I decided to opt for this. We're going to spawn it at the player character's location with the player character's rotation, and we're also going to get a few things over here, and we're going to also make transform. I'm not sure if this is really necessary, the make transform, but well, yeah, I guess it is, because we need to plug it into a spawn transform. But either way, we're just sending it at the player's location with the player's rotation. So any direction that the player's facing, it will shoot this projectile back at. And yeah, then it delays, and then parry projectiles turn off. Sorry for all the stuttering throughout that, but that's, if you want to go back and look slowly through how it works, I'll just quickly pan over it and then pause at any point if you want to go into a bit more detail. I know the wiring can get a bit messy around here, but this is very simple. This is probably the most difficult area I had, because I just couldn't get it to go back in the correct location. I wasn't really sure that you could just get the character's rotation, but once I found this, it sorted a lot of my problems out. So yeah, that is that. And then we go back into the character, the AI, and in the event that we overlap with the AI projectile, we set the health minus 500, and that was just for testing. I don't really need it to be minus 500, and we don't need a condition here. Sorry, I forgot to remove that. But yeah, and then the health is just so low that he pretty much just dies. Print dead, can't be hit. Spawn the emitters, destroy actor, and destroy the actor of the firewall, so that doesn't keep continuing. It's hard to notice, but there's a line going all the way down, and into the send back projectile. So yeah, and that's pretty much it. That's parrying back, and that's the projectiles. I'll just quickly show you the send back projectile. It's just another effect from Infinity Blade. Big flame, massive spherical collision sphere. It's better seen if you actually look at the gameplay. Unfortunately, the frame rate's pretty bad on these recordings, but yeah, you just have to take my word for it that it does look good in the game. Ah, come on. I'm determined to get one parry. Right. Cam. There we go. See that? Now, if you want to slow that down, I mean, the frame rate has probably slowed it down anyway. You'll be able to see all the particle effects that happen there. It's quite a quick... There we go. It's a very quick thing that happens. There's a lot going on, and it's passing variables between all kinds of different places. Anyway. So the final part of my project pardon me, is AI behavior. So this is the kind of meat of the project, and it's basically how my AI can figure out where I'm walking. So we'll go to the AI controller first, and this part basically we'll start. It's hard to explain, so I'll just have to kind of just show you it. But when we start playing, we set the. I'll go to the blackboard first. Here we have a load of different keys, and they're kind of like variables, but they're just things I can reference later on. So firstly, when we begin the whole game, we set the player as enemy. So just remember that player is now enemy, and we keep updating the view of the AI and his what's the word, vision cone. And this code basically constantly checks where he is and if he can see the player. So if the AI, I'll just kind of slowly pan across this. So if the AI stops seeing me, he'll mark that location, and then he'll run towards it basically. I'm going to show you this with this little draw debug sphere. Right. Yeah, and this makes it really easy to understand. So he's seen me. He stopped seeing me. You see this sphere? This is the last place he saw me at. So now he's going to travel to that place. There we go. And see, this is where he can see me, and he'll keep trying to find me. And this kind of makes it look, this perfectly illustrates what I'm trying to say of where he can see me. I'm not sure if I showed this in the other videos, but just as for reference now, it's a really nice little debugging tool. Anyway, that's that bit of code. And that's the AI controller basically. Also, we possess the blackboard and run the behavior tree. Just basically run it. We have a bit of code called attack. What does this do? It's kind of hard to keep track about this. It's basically just setting the attacking for the AI and telling it to shoot, basically. Yeah, I'll just pan across that so you can have a look at any of that. There we are. And also we have find search point, and this is, as it says, it basically just finds that location which was marked previously. So yeah, so now we can attack, we can find the search point, and we can travel to that location. So it's basically everything that I need. And that, remember that shoot enemy? That's basically back in Simple AI. That function. Where is it? Here it is. On event shoot enemy. That's shooting the player basically. So now we have everything that we need. Now we just got to make it work, and that's where a behavior tree comes in. So here we have a selector, and it will use the blackboard. So firstly we wait, rotate to face enemy, wait again, shoot the enemy, wait 2 seconds, and I'll show you just the other ones, and that will keep happening if he can see me. But if he can't see me, he'll move to last seen location and then find the search point and move to the enemy. And that's it. So I thought it was more than that, I was just waiting for it. But yeah, these are just all the conditions that he can do. If he can see me, he'll attack. If he can't see me, he'll find the search point and go to me and try and find the enemy. I'll just let you look across that as well. All these screenshots can be found in the what's it called? Test table. Oh, sorry for how I'm talking. I've got a pretty bad cold right now, and it's quite hard to formulate sentences. So yeah, this is basically my game. And now, after kind of reading that, you can kind of look back and think about what's happening when you see these AIs. You can look at the boxes as well. Sorry about that tree. That tree is awful. So yeah, this is the basis of my game. You've got AI that can follow me and attack. These spheres are getting a bit ridiculous now, but they're helpful. I'd love to work on this more, maybe even change up the whole style of gameplay and just use what I've made. Definitely improve the map. But this AI is a nice little basis for future development. So I hope you've enjoyed this series, and yeah, go back and look at anything if you don't understand. I've pretty much panned through all the code. And to people who are watching this to give me my college grades, that's any other references can be found in the test table, and for more in-depth looks at the code, you can also look at the test table. So yeah, I'm just gonna check that that's everything. Yeah, I think I've covered everything. I did edit the effects to make them a bit more over the top. Apart from that, I used the 4 Seasons assets pack. I think I already mentioned that. It's a free assets pack. I didn't deploy the ragdoll, but I would have liked to. I got multiple enemies for the multiple animations for the character, but I haven't used them yet. I believe that's everything. All right, and I'll end it there. All right, thank you very much.